Imagine standing at the edge of a towering cliff where the sun casts long shadows over ancient stone dwellings that cling precariously to sheer rock faces. These structures, silent witnesses of a bygone era, whisper secrets that have remained hidden for centuries. Who were the people that built these astonishing homes in the American Southwest, and why did they vanish without a trace? Today, we embark on a journey into the mysterious world of the Anasazi, the Ancestral Puebloans, whose ingenuity and enigma continue to captivate historians, archaeologists, and seekers of the unknown. The Anasazi were masters of adaptation, carving entire communities into cliffs with breathtaking precision. Their dwellings, some containing hundreds of rooms, were not just shelters, they were sanctuaries, strategic fortresses, and reflections of a deeply spiritual culture. Every stone, every pathway, and every kiva, the circular ceremonial rooms hidden deep within, holds a story of survival, creativity, and an intimate relationship with the harsh yet mesmerizing desert landscape. Yet, despite their architectural brilliance and cultural complexity, the Anasazi disappeared. The cause of their sudden departure has been the subject of speculation for generations. Were they victims of prolonged droughts, internal conflict, or shifts in trade and resources? Or did they follow a spiritual calling, leaving their stone cities to seek a higher path? The truth remains shrouded in mystery, layered like the sediment of the canyons that now cradled their silent homes. In this video, we will explore the rise and fall of the Anasazi civilization, delving into their remarkable architecture, complex social structures, and the enduring mysteries surrounding their disappearance. We'll examine historical evidence, ancient oral traditions, and modern interpretations, seeking to uncover not just how they lived, but why their story continues to fascinate us. Prepare to journey into the cliffs, into the minds and lives of a people whose legacy transcends time, leaving us to ponder the profound question, what truly happened to the Anasazi?
To understand the Anasazi, we must step back over 1,000 years into the rugged landscapes of the American Southwest, where mesas, canyons, and arid deserts defined the rhythm of life. Long before the arrival of European explorers, the ancestral Puebloans thrived in areas we now call Arizona, New Mexico, Utah, and Colorado. They were not isolated wanderers, but part of a continuum of indigenous cultures, inheritors of knowledge passed down through generations. Agricultural practices, celestial observation, and sacred rituals intertwined with daily survival. The Anasazi were, in many ways, architects of both stone and spirit. Their cliff dwellings, such as those at Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon, were feats of engineering that seem almost impossible, carved directly into vertical rock faces and built with precise alignment to celestial events. Scholars suggest that their construction reflects not only practical concerns, protection from the elements and hostile forces, but also a profound cosmology. Walls aligned with solstices, kivas echoing the cycles of the moon, and intricate road systems spanning hundreds of miles indicate a society deeply attuned to the universe around them. Ancient texts, while rare for this region, offer glimpses into the worldview of the Anasazi through oral histories recorded by descendant Pueblo peoples. These narratives speak of harmony with nature, respect for ancestors, and cycles of renewal. Philosophically, the Anasazi appear to embody the principle that survival is inseparable from spiritual attunement. Their lives were governed by the delicate balance between human ambition and environmental stewardship, a balance that perhaps holds the key to understanding their sudden disappearance. Consider the lessons from Chaco Canyon, a monumental site that functioned as a cultural, ceremonial, and economic hub. The great houses there, some containing hundreds of rooms, reveal a society that valued collaboration, ritual, and the transmission of knowledge across generations. Trade routes extended far beyond the canyon, connecting the Anasazi with distant communities for the exchange of turquoise, pottery, and obsidian. These exchanges were not merely material, they carried ideas, spiritual practices, and the seeds of innovation that allowed the Anasazi to flourish in an otherwise unforgiving landscape. Yet, as much as they achieved, the Anasazi remain an enigma. By the 13th century, many of their great settlements were abandoned. Scholars debate the causes: environmental stress from prolonged drought, resource depletion, social upheaval, or spiritual migration. From a philosophical perspective, their disappearance invites reflection. Perhaps their exodus was a conscious act, a response to the impermanence of human endeavors, reminding us that civilizations, like rivers, are subject to cycles of rise, peak, and decline. As we examine the Anasazi, we are confronted not only with questions of archaeology, but with deeper mysteries of human resilience, adaptability, and the ways in which societies navigate the tension between material needs and spiritual calling. Their story is not just history, it is a mirror, reflecting enduring truths about the fragility and brilliance of human achievement.
To truly grasp the mystery of the Anasazi, one must first understand the extraordinary ingenuity that allowed them to thrive in a landscape that, to the untrained eye, seems inhospitable. Imagine towering mesas rising from the desert floor, jagged cliffs slicing through the horizon, and searing heat that tests the limits of human endurance. Yet within these harsh terrains, the Anasazi carved out homes, cultivated fields, and created a society that was as spiritually profound as it was materially advanced. Their cliff dwellings are more than mere stone structures. They are metaphors in rock for resilience, adaptation, and human ingenuity. The construction of these dwellings was a feat that challenges modern imagination. Workers hoisted stone and mortar up sheer rock faces, forming multi-storied complexes with hundreds of rooms. Doorways and windows were carefully placed to control light and airflow, demonstrating a sophisticated understanding of climate and comfort. These structures were not just functional, they were spiritual instruments. Many were aligned with solstices, equinoxes, and the lunar cycle, suggesting that the Anasazi perceived time and space in ways that harmonized the earthly and the celestial. Their homes became living calendars, marking the passage of seasons, the flow of water, and the rhythm of communal life. One striking aspect of the Anasazi is their agricultural mastery. In an arid environment where rainfall is sparse, they engineered complex irrigation systems, terraced fields, and water conservation techniques that maximized every drop of moisture. Corn, beans, and squash, often called the Three Sisters, were cultivated with a knowledge of companion planting and soil management that rivals modern sustainable farming. Here lies a crucial insight. The Anasazi understood that survival was a holistic endeavor, integrating environmental awareness, communal planning, and spiritual ritual. Every action had consequence, and every choice reflected a deep connection to the natural world. Yet perhaps the most compelling mystery lies not in how they built, but why they disappeared. Scholars have long debated the causes, from prolonged drought to resource depletion, from social strife to spiritual migration. But to reduce their exodus to mere ecological or social factors is to miss the larger pattern. Consider the kiva, a subterranean ceremonial chamber used for communal rituals. The kiva was a portal,
a sacred space where the Anasazi connected with ancestors, sought guidance, and aligned their lives with cosmic rhythms. Could it be that their departure was not only a physical relocation, but a spiritual imperative, a conscious response to the changing cycles of the earth, a decision to preserve knowledge and spirit rather than cling to failing structures? The Anasazi also demonstrated a sophisticated network of trade and cultural exchange. Roads connecting distant settlements reveal a society that valued communication, mobility, and the dissemination of knowledge. Turquoise from faraway mines, pottery styles influenced by distant communities, and shared ceremonial practices all point to a civilization that understood interdependence long before the modern world embraced the term. They were, in essence, practitioners of a subtle form of diplomacy and ecology, balancing local needs with regional cooperation, a lesson in foresight that resonates even today. Finally, the symbolism embedded in their art and architecture cannot be ignored. Petroglyphs etched into canyon walls depict celestial events, mythological figures, and geometric patterns that seem almost otherworldly. These images suggest that the Anasazi were not merely builders or farmers, they were cosmologists, philosophers, and visionaries, seeking to understand the invisible forces that govern life and death. Their legacy, frozen in stone, challenges us to question our assumptions about the limits of human potential. In sum, the Anasazi were a civilization that fused practicality with spirituality, survival with philosophy, and community with cosmic awareness. Their cliff dwellings, agricultural mastery, and intricate societal networks formed the first layer of a deeper mystery, one that invites us to look beyond the material and explore the spiritual, philosophical, and esoteric dimensions of their existence.
As we delve deeper into the enigma of the Anasazi, the question arises, what drove a civilization so advanced, so intimately connected to its environment, to vanish almost without a trace? While Part 1 explored their ingenuity and spiritual depth, Part 2 examines the subtle forces, both tangible and intangible, that may have precipitated their departure and what hidden wisdom their disappearance may hold for us today. Environmental change is often cited as the primary culprit, yet it is not simply a story of drought or famine. Tree ring data reveals cycles of severe aridity, sometimes lasting decades. Crops failed, water sources dried, and soil eroded under relentless sun. But survival was possible. Other civilizations endured harsher climates with adaptive strategies. What sets the Anasazi apart is the timing of their exodus. They abandoned their cliff dwellings not gradually, but in a series of relatively coordinated movements. This hints at a conscious decision, perhaps guided by observation, ritual, or revelation. The Anasazi seem to understand that clinging to a collapsing system could cost more than leaving. It may have been a profound act of ecological and spiritual foresight. The notion of spiritual guidance permeates the archaeological record. Kivas, ceremonial chambers, and petroglyphs suggest a culture deeply attuned to cycles beyond the visible. Sunlight streaming through a specific window at sunrise, or the alignment of a stone corridor with a solstice event, implies that the Anasazi read the heavens and interpreted these celestial patterns as messages. Perhaps the decision to depart the cliffs was inspired by such cosmic readings, a realization that their continued presence in one place would disrupt the balance between human and earth energies. In this sense, disappearance was not defeat. It was a conscious form of preservation, both of the self and the sacred knowledge embedded in their rituals and constructions. Another layer to consider is societal dynamics. The Anasazi were not isolated. Their trade networks extended for hundreds of miles, carrying turquoise, pottery, and other goods.
These networks also facilitated cultural exchange, but they may have transmitted pressures, conflict, disease, or competing spiritual ideologies. Perhaps the Anasazi's movement was partly a response to social flux, a strategic dispersal to maintain cohesion and continuity of knowledge. The cliff dwellings were impressive, but they were also finite spaces. When pressures, environmental, spiritual, or societal, converged, dispersal became a tool for survival rather than mere retreat. The Anasazi also leave behind symbolic clues of an advanced consciousness. Their art, geometry, and architecture often incorporate fractal patterns, sacred numbers, and astronomical alignments. These are not random designs. They indicate a culture seeking to harmonize human life with universal principles. Some researchers argue that understanding these principles allowed the Anasazi to read the land, predict cycles, and make decisions that today would seem prescient. Their departure can be viewed as a masterclass in intuitive knowledge, aligning human action with unseen forces rather than resisting them. Finally, there is a lesson for us in the mystery of their disappearance. In a world obsessed with permanence, the Anasazi exemplify the wisdom of impermanence. They demonstrate that leaving, dispersing, and transforming are not failures, but choices guided by foresight, balance, and awareness of greater cycles. They remind us that survival is not merely physical, but also spiritual and ecological, and that true wisdom often lies in recognizing when to hold and when to let go. In essence, the Anasazi story is layered with complexity: environmental adaptation, spiritual attunement, societal intelligence, and symbolic consciousness. Their disappearance, far from being a simple tragedy, may represent the ultimate act of knowledge, a deliberate alignment with the rhythms of the universe, leaving behind clues for those perceptive enough to seek them.
What can we, living in the modern world, learn from the Anasazi, a civilization that vanished yet left behind enduring lessons of adaptation, intuition, and alignment with the greater forces of life? Beyond historical curiosity, their story provides actionable insights that can guide personal growth, spiritual attunement, and practical decision-making. 1. Observe the rhythms of your environment. Just as the Anasazi studied the cycles of the sun, moon, and seasons, we too can attune ourselves to natural and personal rhythms. This begins with mindfulness, noticing patterns in energy, productivity, emotional cycles, and the subtle cues in our surroundings. Keeping a journal of these observations is a simple but powerful tool. By identifying patterns over weeks or months, you cultivate an intuitive understanding of when to act, when to rest, and when to redirect your efforts, mirroring the Anasazi's careful observation of ecological and cosmic cycles. 2. Align decisions with broader forces. The Anasazi cliff dwellings were designed with precise solar and celestial alignments. Their lives were interwoven with principles far larger than themselves. In our modern context, this translates to aligning personal and professional decisions with long-term trends and universal principles, values like sustainability, ethical action, and strategic foresight. Before making significant life choices, pause to consider the larger impact of your actions on your community, your environment, and your inner life. This is the essence of acting with foresight and wisdom rather than reaction. 3. Embrace impermanence as a tool, not a threat. One of the most profound lessons of the Anasazi is the courage to let go. Their abandonment of massive cliff dwellings was not defeat. It was a conscious choice to preserve life, knowledge, and balance. In our lives, we often cling to habits, relationships, or situations that no longer serve us. By practicing conscious release, be it decluttering, ending toxic relationships, or changing careers, we align with the principle that survival, growth, and fulfillment require adaptability and courage to embrace change. 4. Seek wisdom in symbols and patterns. The Anasazi encoded knowledge in petroglyphs,
architectural geometry, and ceremonial spaces. Today, this can inspire us to look for deeper meaning in seemingly ordinary experiences. Patterns in dreams, synchronicities, and recurring life themes may be subtle signals guiding our path. Meditation, journaling, and contemplative study of symbols can enhance this skill, helping you navigate complex situations with clarity and intuition. 5. Integrate spirituality with practical life. Finally, the Anasazi exemplify the integration of spiritual understanding with everyday survival. Their rituals and architectural alignments were not mere ceremonies. They were practical tools for maintaining harmony with the natural and cosmic world. Likewise, cultivating a daily practice, whether meditation, reflection, or mindful activity, anchors spiritual insight into tangible action. It transforms abstract knowledge into living wisdom. By adopting these practices, we can channel the lessons of the Anasazi into our own lives: awareness of cycles, alignment with greater principles, courage to let go, attention to meaningful patterns, and integration of the spiritual with the practical. In doing so, we do not merely study the past. We allow the wisdom of an ancient civilization to guide our present and shape our future.
The story of the Anasazi is a riddle written in stone cliffs and sun-warmed sandstone, an ancient message that echoes across centuries. Though their homes were abandoned and their civilization vanished from sight, their wisdom remains etched in the patterns of the earth, the cycles of the sun, and the silent testimony of their architectural marvels. Their cliff dwellings are more than relics. They are symbols of observation, adaptation, and alignment with forces greater than oneself. In studying the Anasazi, we glimpse a profound truth. Survival and flourishing require more than skill or knowledge. They demand harmony. The ability to observe subtle rhythms, to attune to natural cycles, and to act in accordance with broader cosmic and ecological forces distinguishes civilizations that endure in memory from those lost to obscurity. Every stone they placed, every petroglyph they carved, speaks of a society deeply aware of the delicate balance between human effort and the invisible currents of life. Yet, the lessons of the Anasazi are not locked in the past. They are living insights for anyone seeking meaning, clarity, and resilience in a world of rapid change. By embracing their principles, mindful observation, strategic alignment, courage in impermanence, awareness of hidden patterns, and the integration of the spiritual with the practical, we can navigate our own lives with wisdom and foresight. Their vanished world becomes a mirror, reflecting the choices, awareness, and actions that define our own path. So, when you gaze upon the cliffs of the American Southwest or the remnants of their dwellings, remember, the Anasazi are not merely a chapter in history, they are a guide. Their silent message invites us to slow down, attune ourselves to the rhythms around us, and move through life with both purpose and reverence. In doing so, we honor not only their memory, but the timeless wisdom that endures within all who are willing to listen. The mystery of the Anasazi is not only about what disappeared, but about what survives in the patterns we choose to follow today. Will you heed their silent guidance and allow their ancient wisdom to illuminate your journey?